Dune News. Traffic and Politics with John Donson. Weather Forecast with Chip Dippin' Dots. With your hosts, Nizz Business. This is your Dune News team.
Welcome back to the ongoing coverage and analysis of Dune Awakening. Hope you enjoyed that intro. It's never going to happen again. Our top story of the evening. Is it too hot to be wearing this jacket to do this video? Answers at 11. It's 11 now. The answer is yes. Today on our news edition, we're going to be covering some of the hotter button issues going on in the Dune Awakening world, including coverage of the new Communinet Signal number 2, recently released by community manager Ishnaxwals. We're also going to be going over some of the more interesting tidbits that have come out of recent interviews and articles put out on the internet. And finally, trouble in paradise. It seems that some of the invited closed beta participants have been leaking some of their information, including being invited to the beta. What? Whoopsie-doo. Read the NDA. Should say it right there. I'm not mad. You got mad about it. Let's kick it on over to our first correspondent, Chippy McDipperson.
The Dune universe has been on fire recently with news of a beta test ramp up. We are seeing more and more people being invited to the closed beta test, with a statement released by the community team saying another giveaway time. Interested in participating in the closed beta for Dune Awakening on PC? Well, you know that we are. Here's your chance. This has caused quite a stir in the community Discord as a whole. People are lighting things on fire. People are rampaging against each other. In another statement, we know this is going on. As proof, we have seen them say, we have randomly selected from those who entered the closed beta giveaway on Discord. The lucky few will be receiving their emails today from the totally not suspicious looking email, no reply at email.funcom.com. Let's hear from Joel himself.
It's limited in shape and form. We're going to increase the amount. We just did an update a couple of weeks ago. I think I mentioned this, where we revamped the melee combat. And we've been waiting for that to come in because I didn't want to go wide with kind of not the world's best melee combat earlier. Now we have much better melee combat. I'm not saying it's world best, but now it's much better. So we'll start to roll out to wider and wider groups of people, and testing all this endgame stuff is going to require thousands of people. So you can expect the beta to ramp up quite significantly. I can't give it to you individually. You have to sign up on DuneAwakening.com. They don't even let me, the creative director, have any. They don't let me decide anybody who's in the beta.
I can vouch for that.
I don't believe you, Joel. And they led up with this message. Nizz is going back to work quick, send him a beta invite. This was a bad joke and made me very sad. We've also seen a release of some playtest numbers on sites like SteamDB. These numbers aren't entirely accurate and not to be trusted. In fact, they're frowned upon by the development team for people even talking about them. I hope that doesn't hurt my chances. We then saw some NDA breaking madness with a review of the beta itself getting released somehow on the Dune Awakening playtest Steam page. They even end the review saying, "Where can I begin and where to stop? I am speechless." Well, a good place to stop would have been just before breaking the NDA, probably. Back to you, Nizz.
Boy, wasn't that an interesting story. Let's go to our correspondent to find out more. Wally?
My name's not Wally, but let's get right into it. We have evidence of a Dune Awakening demo that has been released out to at least some players. We've seen at the Tokyo Game Show there's a first ever hands-on demo. We haven't heard much from the Tokyo Game Show as of yet, but it does seem there was at least a playable demo. This is some interesting stuff. Moving on to the Landsraad, I'll let developer Ula take it from here.
It's basically bingo. So you can line to one of the major factions, Atreides or Harkonnen, and you can fight for getting 5 in a row on that bingo board by completing missions for the major houses. And this is one of our in-game mechanics. It's kind of hard to talk about without having any visual aid.
It's just, you want to win the votes of the different houses in the world so that they will vote for the thing that you're looking to have happen. And when that thing happens, it changes the server for everybody in a way. So,
Atreides is starting to gain closer to getting one full 5-row thing by completing the missions. The Harkonnen probably want to start blocking them.
Yeah.
by completing the mission that they want to finish. The winner of the Landsraad gets to decide on server-wide laws for the next week.
Let's take a closer look at these laws. You'll join a faction and have overarching goals to get involved with each week when, and you'll be able to establish your own laws called resolutions on the planet Arrakis. One of them permits access to a special vendor who lands in their spaceship and only interacts with one faction. They sell exotic items from different planets and they have unique effects. Other resolutions include increasing the efficiency of crafting so machines produce faster, things like raising the spice tax for other factions so they have to pay more tax for their land. We also got a bit more information about Dune Radio, the in-game radio system. There's a radio drama called 5 Days in Old Carthag, says Bylos, and it's about how the city got destroyed by nukes. It covers the politics. Each episode is maybe 15 minutes long, and they count as 1 day of this story. And over the story, you hear different perspectives of how the city came to be blown up by nukes. Harvester Radio, the Atreides station, and the Harkonnen station. These are the 3 stations we know about. Each broadcasts its own songs, radio dramas, and propaganda with 200 hours of audio per radio station. That is crazy. Speaking on Sard Ships and the nighttime events, if the light doesn't see you because you're inside, nothing happens. If you are on the roof, like in the example stated, you are in for a rough time. Slight note, they are Sardaukar patrol ships, but the people who come out of them are often Trome mercs because the Sardaukar are too busy to deal with scrubs. Let's talk about the burning giraffe in the room. In the unfortunately cancelled Alejandro Jodorowsky's Dune movie, Surrealist painter Salvador Dali was slated to be the Mad Emperor of the Galaxy himself. Here we can see an example of Dali's famous burning giraffe painting. There is also a mention of Jodorowsky's legendary burning giraffe. Salvador Dali was going to be the Emperor, but ever the Surrealist, he suggested he'd only do the scenes if he could act alongside a flaming giraffe. You should keep your eye out for that in the game.
As the Mad Emperor of the Galaxy.
Dali, can I have a burning giraffe? All right, we'll have burning giraffe.
I just want to go on record as saying that is absolutely insane to think about. Let's talk about the Hagga Basin maximums. There was some confusion about this earlier. The devs stepped in to clarify. It's still being worked on, including multiple things that have come up in the thread like queues. This is a compromise with allowing people to build bases everywhere. They add a lot of cost to servers and it makes everything harder to optimize. There have been people talking about that 40 is the overall cap. This is incorrect. The current cap is 40 concurrent users. During a 24-hour cycle, there can be a lot more players passing through that server, but only 40 can be online at a given time, with the current cap. There are all kinds of systems that mitigate some of the concerns people have, i.e. soft caps, reserve slots, etc. But we'll test and iterate on how it all flows as we move into larger betas. And lastly, let's talk about the worm count. We got some new information regarding worms. Apparently, there are around 10 worms in the starting map, the Hagga Basin, and a staggering 50 in the endgame area, the Deep Desert. Each worm has its own territory, and if you stray into it, you've got around a minute before one bursts out of the ground to eat you. They also exist closer to better points, and certain techniques and tools making it easier and harder to farm will be in place. After a while, a bit too much spice exposure can affect the player, but exposure for more spice can be worth it. Back to you, Nizz.
Boy, that sure is interesting. Now on to our final story of the day. And one of the most exciting turns in the community, we've actually seen a huge upheaval resulting in a pizza war. People from both sides have been up in arms about whether pineapple pizza is acceptable or whether we should just drag those people out into the firing fields and do away with them. Where do you fall on this issue? Let's go into the Discord to find out a little bit more. What am I doing? What is this? But what is the internet about? What's the point? Why do people film these things? Has YouTube ruined us as a society?
It sure has, Nizz. Moving into the Discord, a pizza war has erupted between the members of the community. There has been nothing but bloodshed and terror going on for days now. Very, very strong opinions have been shared across the community regarding the placement of pineapple on pizza. We have seen quite a division in the members of the community, once friends now turned into enemies. The most concerning thing is that the results put into a poll have shown a staggering amount of people on both sides of the fence, disgustingly so in fact. I don't know what to say about this, but it's making my skin crawl. Moving on over into the recently released Communinet Signal number 2. We got some coverage of the recent Gamescom event in Cologne, Germany. We got to see some insider photos and behind-the-scenes looks at how the event was structured and laid out. Some excellent cosplay, and even some photos of our own members of the community in the Discord getting down to brass tacks. Mention of Flaming Mojo's book club featuring Joel Bylos. We see a Gom Jabbar test there, as well as featured artwork from our very own Music On. There was even a shout out to our very own Dune Awakening podcast featuring Flaming Mojo, Dead Woman Walking, and Visit Arrakis, followed up by a questionnaire section with community questions being answered. I will link that in the description. You can go read about those yourself. The most controversial part, however, about the Communinet Signal was this link snuck in at the very end featuring a picture of the aforementioned horrifying pineapple pizza. This is actually what caused the uproar in the first place and led to the millions of lives lost to the pizza wars that we are still going through today. This is likely why the devs have chosen to exclude food from being a major component to the survival in Dune Awakening, knowing that it's going to cause nothing but horror and bloodshed. Back to you, Nizz.
That'll do it here for us at Dune Awakening News. Make sure to tune in next time when we cover some more controversial topics regarding things like sand. Is it really that fun? And worms. Why are they there? Same time, same place. Probably not the same time, but most likely the same place. Be careful out there on the sands of Arrakis. Make sure to always fashion your still suit, slip, fit at the ankles. You know what they say in the book. Is this what it is now? Is this the end of community as a whole? Is this how we interact? Just making videos? We're all just in our own rooms, alone. Everyone's alone. Just shouting into the void. It's funny. A little bit funny. Forgot to walk my dog. Do I want a dog? Don't smoke Samuta, kids. One time is enough. Ruin a whole life. You'll end up looking like this guy.